And welcome back to the Livingston Parish News Weekly Show. My name is McHugh David, publisher and editor of the news. Appreciate you guys joining us this morning. We have yet another candidate for Livingston Board of Aldermen. It's a contentious race, 10 running for 5 seats. It's going to be a lot of fun. We appreciate our special guest stopping by this morning, Ms. Kacie Stewart. Good morning. How are you?
I am wonderful. How are you?
I am doing well. Got rained on a little bit this morning, and as we discussed before the show, my kids are not quite used to going back to school 5 days a week.
No.
But things are getting back to, I guess you could say, normal in the school life. So speaking about kids, tell us a little bit about your family and what you do for a living.
All right. So I'm Kacie Stewart. I live in Livingston, grew up there, still reside there today, obviously. My husband, Blake, and we've been married for 13 years. We have 2 little boys, Crew, who is 9. He's in 4th grade at Doyle Elementary. And Cash, who is 6.5, if you ask him. Actually, almost 7 now. And he's in 1st grade at Doyle. Both heavily involved in sports and recreational activities and keeping us pretty busy.
Tell us a little bit about, well, you're a busy mom, obviously. We know kids, when they're involved in a lot of those extracurriculars, it just takes it that much farther passing into school. So tell us a little bit about Stewart Family Medicine and what you do.
Okay, so Stewart Family Medicine, I'm a co-owner of that with my husband and his brother and wife. And I run the daily operations of Stewart Family Medicine. A lot of people think I'm a healthcare provider, but I am not. I hire very special people to take care of that aspect of it. I just run the daily administrative tasks that are required of Stewart Family Medicine. And it's varies very widely. So,
well, it sounds like Elon Musk, right? I mean, what he said, I don't have an MBA, but I employ MBAs.
Absolutely. You surround yourself with the people that know the things that you don't, and you surround yourself with the people that you trust.
And so, part of what you're doing there is kind of keeping sort of a vision going for the business while other people are working to provide medical care and that kind of stuff.
Absolutely. It's a very unique structure for our business. Whenever your owner of the business is not your primary care provider for that office. It's very unusual, but it works because I'm going to tell you what a healthcare provider wants to do is they want to focus on their patients. They want to take care of them. They don't want to worry about the business aspect of it. They want to just focus on taking care of their patients. And so it's unique and it works beautifully.
Well, and that's always a great thing. Balance is important, and we're going to talk a little bit more about balance when we sort of get into your vision for the town. But first, let's start from the beginning. Again, 10 people running for 5 seats in the town of Livingston for the Board of Aldermen. Well, I mean, and trust me, from a journalistic standpoint, it's definitely awesome. It's a lot of fun. But, tell us first and foremost, why? Why are you running?
Well, it's my community. It's my town. I've always been very proud to be from Livingston. To me, not that I have much to compare it to, but there's nothing like it. I mean, my kids are in the front yard. I look outside and they're playing with 10 other kids from our neighborhood. We're bike rides away from most of our friends and family. You can't find that just anywhere. You can't. It's very special. I tell my husband all the time, we can't move ever,
right.
Ever. I mean, it's very special. And it's something that I'm at a point in my life now where I feel like I've gained the experience and the knowledge that I need to help serve in a bigger way. And there's growth coming. Everybody's talking about that. Everybody knows that there's growth coming. I want to be a part of making that growth happen in a responsible way, in the best way for the town of Livingston.
Right. And that goes back to the balance that you were talking about. It's about striking a balance between, keeping that feel, that hometown feel,
right,
with, accepting, well, hometown draws people, so we're going to grow. So, real quick, tell us, you grew up in Livingston? I
did grow up in Livingston. Okay. My parents were divorced, so I spent most of my time in Livingston and also in Gonzales. So used to say LP/AP. But majority of my time was in Livingston.
I got you. So yeah, Baton Rouge suburbanite with Ascension and Livingston. So when you're talking about, like you already mentioned, you had a conversation with your husband. You said, I believe it's time. when you were first deciding, I want to go to Blake with this, I want to talk to him about it, what was the mindset there? Why did you suddenly sit down and decide that?
We were actually at the beach when I finally had the conversation with him. It had been in the back of my mind, and we, amongst friends, I mean, like I said, small town, small community, we have a big group of friends, and, we would be at social gatherings, and we talk about it, and we talk about, we need to be a part of what's happening here. Like, we have a big group of people with good values and who want the best things for Livingston. Like, we need to get some of us in office. And so it stays in the back of your mind. I'm like, well, maybe that could be me. I don't know. Let me think on it a little while. So it took some kind of time for me to think about it to myself. And then we were actually at the beach, and I said, Blake, we need to talk. I think I need to do this. I feel like this is the right time for me to do this.
So what did he say?
He said, well, let's go. Okay. He said, let's roll with it. He's very supportive. My biggest fan. I recently made a post on my Alderman Facebook page. My first shirt went out to Blake, So he
your biggest fan.
Yes, absolutely. And my kids.
I was about to say, so you have the full support of your family.
They're very excited about the signs around town. They think they're great.
Moms everywhere.
Yes.
So, before we get into some nitty gritty, fast forward, you go to qualify. What was it like walking in, and what was it like walking out?
So walking in, you show up. It's pretty intimidating. I hadn't actually been to the courthouse yet, like for any type of business, which is, I guess, a good thing.
Sure.
So I show up, and I think I underestimated the how big of a deal it was. People had their families with them. I showed up by myself, and I was like, maybe I should put a little bit more. This is a bigger deal than I thought. This is great what I'm doing. And I'm like, I think I should have brought my family with me. I could have taken pictures and documented this moment. It's a big deal. And I kind of started to realize the gravity of what it was I was doing. And I think leaving there, it was exciting. It's easy to be intimidated going into something like that. And it wasn't, there were so many people there. It's not just the town of Livingston qualifying there. It's a lot of people. And so it's kind of overwhelming, and you walk out and you're like, okay, now I know what I need to do. They give you all the information you need. You go, and I'm like zoned in on what it is I need to take care of after the fact, and how do I need to get the ball rolling.
So let's talk a little, because you've experienced sort of this gravitas going through all that, and you walk out and you kind of know what's ahead of you. Let's talk a little bit about the sort of understanding what you're getting into here. What's your experience? I'm sure you've gone to a couple of Town of Livingston board meetings. We'll talk about that right after the first question, which is, what's your experience with boards in general? Groups of people coming together, trying to form a consensus.
Well, I've been a board member with the Livingston Parish Chamber of Commerce for going on 4 years now, which is, kind of didn't realize that, so I sat down to kind of write down my qualifications, and I'm like, wow, time's really flown by. But I've really went hard with that position. I chair the Business Expo Committee. I chair the Gala Committee. There's a lot of different aspects of the chamber. And once I was exposed to something, I'd realize, well, I want to be involved with that too. I want to be on the Governmental Affairs Committee. I want to be on the Education Committee. I want to do all of these things because they're also relevant to me personally and to our business. So it's, I really went very deep.
Sure.
Into that position.
You like to get involved.
Oh, yes.
And you also, that also means that you are good at working with other people.
Oh, yeah.
Which is a big part of being as a part of a board. Obviously, there's 4 other people. You got to form a consensus. We're going to talk a little bit about your style later, but tell us, you've been to Board of Aldermen meetings. How is it different from what you were doing with the chamber?
It's very different. I've really... The town of Livingston, people think, oh, it's just a small town. There's not a lot going on, but there is. When you start to really, people talk about all this growth and stuff. Well, if you start thinking about that growth, you realize there are going to be big decisions coming up soon that are going to need to be made. And I think that our residents don't know about those decisions, and they don't know these things that are happening. And it's a lack of communication which is a big topic among all of the candidates that were running, and among all of the residents in Livingston. There's no communication about what's going on. So I think that the experience I had with the chamber and going into the board is that I would say, you go in, you're like, well, why don't y'all do this that way? Or why haven't y'all done this? Or why haven't y'all done that? Well, there's usually a reason why they haven't done it.
Right.
And it's a reason I don't know about. And it's a reason that no one else would know about until they were in that position themselves. Well, we tried that and it didn't work because of this, you know.
But it hadn't been communicated.
Right. Exactly. People don't know.
No, well, and
they're like, it's like a common sense thing. Like, well, this seems like a great idea. Why haven't you done this? Most times, 9 out of 10 times, they've tried that.
Right. And it didn't quite pan out. So, bringing that forward, when you're going to be on a board and you're going to be one of 5 people, there's going to be a political and sort of sales style.
Sure.
Tell us a little bit about, you've had time on the chamber board. While it might be different, it's given you a chance to sort of discover a lot of that, having a wheel and deal, form a consensus. What's your style?
My style is learning what happened before I got there.
Okay.
I want to. There's a reason why the most basic good idea didn't work or didn't happen. I want to know from those people that came before me. There's a lot of wisdom and a lot of learning experiences that you can gain from people that came before you. And I think that getting that information and talking to other people who've been in similar situations, other towns, other municipalities, getting all that information and saying, hey, putting it all out there. This is what's going to happen if we do this. This is what's going to happen if we don't do this. And kind of giving it more of a common sense approach, like we have to do this and communicating this idea to the residents. If it's obviously, I'm not going to present anything that's not for the best interest of the town. And they can put the pressure on the board or the mayor or whatever it may be to make that happen. Like, this is something I'm doing that I feel like would be best for Livingston. And if you get that information out to the people and you get all of the details and you're honest about it and present all of the information that they need, then I feel like, I want to make it to where they can't say no,
Kill them with data, I guess you could say.
Absolutely.
Well, thinking about that data, right now we've discussed there's trying to strike a balancing act, a lot of growth going on, at the same time trying to keep a hometown feel. So when you're thinking about that experience that you've had with boards, should you be elected, you're going to be one of 5. What direction? I mean, what are you trying to strike that balance with, and how are you going to do it?
Well, I think that, like we've said over and over again, the growth that's coming to Livingston, it has to come. I mean, people are moving in, and you need businesses, and it's a very sensitive subject for everything, for everyone in Livingston. And one of the best things about Livingston is that everyone has the same ideas. Everyone wants to maintain that. Everybody has the same goal in mind for Livingston, and I think that's one of the best things that we have. And if you put all of that together, and people are scared when a new business comes to town, they're like, oh, I don't want us to be a big city or a big town or whatever. I want it to stay small. I want us to continue to do that. I think you can do both. People are going to keep moving into town, and the town limits, they're not very big, but people outside the town limits, they're just as much a part of the town as the people who are in the town limits. And there's a lot of people, and a lot of people have the same values. And I think that as people are moving in, as houses are being built, as houses are being sold, you can do both. You're going to need to bring businesses into Livingston. You're going to need revenue. You're going to need to have these businesses there to support the infrastructure that we're going to need to support these new residents. So I think that you can find a balance between that. You can bring in the right kinds of businesses. You can bring in the right type of people that you want in your town that will help have the same values and goals that you do, that the people that currently do.
So, talking about one of your styles, or the style, which is a historical perspective and building data, we had Zach Thompson on the show, and he talked about building a plan.
Mm-hmm.
So it sounds like you and he are kind of on the same page with regard to that. It's about getting some historical perspective, maybe what worked. So, I mean, where would you maybe dig for some of that information? I mean, would you look, maybe right now we're sitting inside the city limits of Denham. Would you look at something like that or somewhere else?
Yeah, I mean, anywhere that's in a similar situation that we're currently in, anywhere that's a small town, but they have people that want to live there. It's very sought after, and people who've just been faced with similar circumstances as us in this position. Not as, you have Walker, you have Denham. I mean, that's pretty far down the road for Livingston, I feel like, but even outside of Louisiana, I mean, there's other municipalities that have been in similar situations that have handled things the right way to get Livingston to grow in the right direction.
So, when you're thinking about growth, it's going to start somewhere. And a lot of times it happens before people even really realize it.
Mm-hmm.
They're not entirely sure that that's actually what's happening until I guess you could say it's too late.
Right.
Speaking about some of the growth that's coming, already having to provide infrastructure for a couple of large companies south of the town. So growth's already happening. But you mentioned something that, I would think would be of great import to the town going forward, which is infrastructure. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people don't realize infrastructure goes beyond just ditches and roads. I mean, that includes your sewer and water. You brought something up that's important, and that is that the town is going to need revenue to support those things. Mm-hmm. So tell us a little bit about kind of where you see those infrastructure issues coming from and what you would like to do. We don't need a 5-point plan. I don't know if we have enough time for all that, but what would be your idea of being able to handle that for the future?
Well, I don't think that I'm not going to sit here and tell you I'm an expert on how sewer needs to be ran and how much drainage we need, and I don't know, and I don't think people expect me to know that, but I can tell you I know how to find that information out. I know how to go to the people who know the information that I need. I know how to bring that into town. I know how to reach out and get the information I need. I mean, I've spent with, as the owner of a medical clinic, I'm not a medical provider, but I know how to find the information I need. I know how to reach out there on my own and figure it out. But as far as bringing all that, you need money.
Right.
You have to have money. And the only way to get that is to bring in some business into Livingston. And like I said, it's a hot button issue.
Sure.
Among everyone. But
it's a hot button issue, and you get that. You understand, especially as yourself. You are a business owner in the town of Livingston, and you got to strike that balance, right? You have to be responsible with growth, but at the same time, if you want to be able to provide those 21st century services, you got to have revenue. So when you're thinking about, that we use the word a lot, and we're using it a lot because it's a good one, balance.
Yeah.
What are some of the let's do a little compliment sandwich here with the town of Livingston. What are some of the things that it's doing well, and what are some of the things upon which it can improve?
Well, obviously we're doing a lot well.
Yeah. Obviously, you're very attractive. It's an attractive town. A lot of people want to move there.
Yeah, people are showing up. They want to move here. You can't. I tell my husband all the time, we're stuck in this house because there's nowhere else to go. I'm not leaving Livingston, and houses, they don't come up for sale very often, and they don't end up on the market. It's word of mouth. The house that we're currently in 5 years ago was word of mouth. It didn't even get listed. Right. So obviously they're doing something right. The communication to me is the biggest thing. And I feel like something that I bring to the table that's unique is I have the perspective of a resident and I have the perspective of a business owner in the same town. I am obviously invested in Livingston. I have a 2-mile round trip every single day that I make. I don't get out much.
Well, I'm sorry to pull you so far from that today.
It is a haul to make it all the way out here. But it's the communication to me is the biggest thing. That's one of the biggest reasons I got involved in this is I was like, there's a lot of growth happening, big decisions coming up. I don't know what any of those decisions are about. I don't know. The website is non-existent. That is huge. I feel like appearances matter. And whether you're a resident or whether you're a visitor and you go to our website, that impression matters.
Sure.
And that is a great outlet to put out information for the residents. Like, hey, I know everybody's upset about this particular issue, this sewer, this, drainage, whatever it is. But hey, this is what we're working on. This is where we were and this is where we are. Look at how far we've come. I know this is still an issue, but this is what we have in progress. This is what we're working on. And this is our ultimate outcome of that. That is a great way to convey that information to people. And I feel like it's a waste. It's not there. Why can't we utilize that? So I feel like communication for any little issue that anybody has, if we improve that, it's going to improve all of those issues somewhat.
Well, and being able to talk with your residents usually makes them a little more amenable. If you're saying, well, look, we have this new business coming in, but here are the benefits that it's going to bring.
Right. Give them facts.
Right.
Facts. And they can be like, I don't necessarily agree with that, but I see why you made that decision.
Right. And so, having that back and forth with them is important. Mm-hmm. So speaking about communication, it's a weird year. It's a very weird year. And it's especially a weird year if you're running for political office.
Especially if it's your first time.
Yes. Well, that means every other time will be very easy.
I hope so.
But, when you're talking about running a campaign during this time, it's a weird time. So tell us some of the things that you have done and sort of innovated and tried to make sure that you're getting your message out to the people of Livingston especially
in a pandemic.
Yes, during a pandemic when going door to door may not be the best idea.
Right. It's definitely a learning experience. I can tell you, I've reached out to people who have been involved in political campaigns before, and I want to learn. I'm not. This is my first time. I don't know what I'm doing. I want all the information, all the wisdom that I can get from people who've been in this situation before. Not a lot of people have been in this particular situation, but social media is huge. Mm-hmm. Platforms like this, you have to take advantage of any social interaction that kind of presents itself naturally. Sure. Bring my kids to basketball practice, bring them to baseball, wherever it is, you're going to run into somebody. I literally spend almost every aspect of my life in Livingston. Sure. I'm going to run into people. Just taking advantage of those opportunities. As far as going door to door, that is going to be, I don't even really know how exactly I'm going to handle that yet. Because one thing I've learned, even being involved and being a part of a medical facility mm-hmm. in this, is people have very different levels of concern.
Sure.
For this.
That was very well put.
Some people don't care, and some people are by the book. You don't want to offend anybody, obviously. You want to respect that person's space. But you also don't want it to seem like you're not out there trying to earn their vote.
Right.
So as far as how to balance that, I don't know. I really don't. I'm going to just kind of try to take advantage of the opportunities that present themselves and get my message out there and encourage people to contact me. I'm available, email, phone, text, however it is. Facebook, let me know. I want to know what concerns people have, because one thing that I've learned throughout life is that people have different priorities, and people are very passionate about the things that affect them.
Yes, they are. And, kind of hearing you say that, it's very much that experience that you brought forward. It's like, well, I don't know, but I'm going to find out. Mm-hmm. But what's also interesting about this current circumstance is I think you're learning just as much as everybody else. Absolutely. As they're dealing with campaigning. But you do have an interesting perspective mm-hmm. being the manager of a healthcare facility. Mm-hmm. Real quick, just kind of give us a little bit of introspective on what that's been like to run a healthcare facility in a place where, like you said, and it's just a fact. Some people care, some people don't.
Right. Absolutely. It's unique, and it's stressful, and we need a full-time person on staff just to keep up with the changing guidelines. Right. You have people on staff who are taking care of patients, and you also have people like me who are just trying to keep the clinic running. paying bills, making sure staffing's right, all these other generic administrative tasks. We are not a hospital-owned clinic. We are independently owned. We don't have all the resources that these other facilities have. We are like low man on the totem pole, here trying to take care of our patients and trying to do so in a responsible way, especially during these strange times. But it is challenging.
I want to ask you something real quick. You said something that I've tried to harp on, changing guidelines.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of, political systems, the school board, hospitals, everybody is trying to deal with these constantly changing guidelines. How often do they change? I mean, it seems like it's once every other week, maybe sometimes once a week.
I mean, we just have to try really hard we have to be proactive in finding out about that. And, a lot of times we get emails, we get notifications about any changes that do occur, but a lot of times we don't. We have to be proactive about that. And that's one thing that I think I have brought to our clinic and to our business and to our culture in our business is being proactive. Like, we're not going to have this management over us saying, hey, you need to get certified in this. You need to make sure that you're trained in this. We have to do that ourselves. We have to push ourselves to do that. And I think that that's something that is really important. It's an important skill to gain, to be proactive.
Sure. And, when you're talking about government management, I mean, a lot of what y'all are going to be doing, especially going forward, government finance is based around a lot of grant funding. A lot of, meeting guidelines from the EPA when you're talking about water and sewer, so tell us, do you think that those things, being proactive is going to be an important thing to bring to the board?
Yes, absolutely. I think that's everything right now, especially knowing how much growth has happened in Livingston and how much growth is going to happen to Livingston. It's not, a bunch of growth happened and we're stopped. No, like it is going to keep on going. You have to be proactive. You have to go out there and communicate with people who've been through this before, people who have experienced this and who have learned from things that didn't work. That's, to me, the best information. What are the mistakes you made?
Right.
I want to know what went wrong, so we don't make those same mistakes again.
Yeah, so you don't want to hit the same pothole.
Absolutely.
And you're probably going to find your own you're probably going to find your own potholes along the way too.
Of course.
So pulling all that together, your experiences, your family, your board experience, the things that you see coming, give us, 2 minutes. Why, out of you're one of 10 running for 5 seats, why should the people of Livingston mark you down as one of their choice?
I love Livingston. I've always been so proud to be from Livingston. And I think most people are. But I think that pride can grow. I think that if we invest a little bit in the beginning, I think investment in yourself is huge. I think, hey, if I want to be the best rural health clinic out there, I want to go get certified to be a rural health clinic professional. I'm going to push forward. I'm going to make the decision to get this training, get this certification, and know what it is I need to be prepared for before the deficiencies come. That way you're proactive about it and you know the mistakes that are often made and the mistakes that you can avoid. And I mean, Livingston is so special. Like I said earlier, I told my husband, we can't leave. Like, your kids can still ride the bike down the road. You know almost all of your neighbors. Almost everybody you see at the grocery store. That is so special. But the town needs revenue to support everything that's coming to us. We can get the right kind of revenue, I think, and I want to be a part of that. I want to be a part of helping our town grow in a responsible way, in the best way, in the way that still suits our values and our culture. And I think it can be done. I really do. I think you can have the best of both worlds. I mean, it's possible. It's possible. We've had a rough year this year.
We have had a rough year, but we are looking forward to better times.
There's no way we can have 2 bad years in a row. No way.
Be careful what you wish for.
I am telling you right now, 2020 is it. 2021 is going to be so much better. So much better. It has to be.
Well,
I have faith.
Well, we're going to find out.
We will. We will find out.
So, again, Ms. Stewart, thank you for joining us this morning.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. We do appreciate it. Again, Ms. Kacie Stewart is running for a Board of Aldermen, Town of Livingston. Contentious race 10, running for 5. Also a big race for mayor and for chief of police. Town of Livingston.
Exciting.
It is. It's very exciting. A hotbed for politics this fall. One last time, my name is McHugh David, publisher and editor of the news. Appreciate you guys joining us this morning or this afternoon, however and whenever you're watching this, for the Livingston Parish News Weekly Show. Want to remind folks we're on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, and YouTube. We are once a week in print on Thursdays at $7 a month to get that in your mailbox. We're also online, www.livingstonparishnews.com. We have a podcast page, which is free, has audio and video versions of these shows. We appreciate you checking them out. We will be back with you. We still have a few more fellow candidates to try to get right over there in that seat that we'll get to grill and ask some questions to. But in the meantime, we do appreciate you one last time joining us, and we will see all of you listeners, or you will hear us next time. Thanks for joining us.